hopefully everybody's, closing out your strong. It's still sunny out. But hopefully you're closing out your strong, um, with conviction and a sense of completion and accomplishment. Um, yeah, so here we are again, our Shabbat Cipher or our new fellowship, just closing out the strong and winding down for our time of rest after what was willfully a very productive 6 days of work. So I'm Master Menyelek, and I am going to I'm gonna try to do something a little lighthearted today. Keeping with the theme of the strong that was set forth with our clubhouse build with Sister Yafe. Levity of the heart, and I like the thoughts that it sparked. When it comes to moving with less burdens. Like one of the questions that Chief had asked that kind of thumped me when he was like, "How many things do you have?" It's like it stumped everyone in the room. Like I don't know, but he's like, "That's what's keeping you heavy." And when I was thinking about the topic for this build, I knew it had something to do with silence. I didn't know what, but usually when I it's almost like a game at this point. Whenever I start um, working on what's going to happen, if I'm scheduled to do a segment, it's if I come up with a topic name or a title, I usually type in Chief Yap and the segment or the topic, and a video would basically almost always pop up. Like there's so many videos in the archives that you can tap into and resource, you know, and get something from it. Even if you've seen it before, heard it before, you're a different person when you hear it the next time. Maybe you understand more, maybe a little smarter. Maybe you're not as smart, and and you hear it and you're like, oh, I know better than this. I actually heard this before. Why did I forget that? So it's always good to not just share with not just build on the segments, but build with one another. And that's what helps it to become more integrated. That was something that Chief had charged us all to do. Not the last study session, but the one before that. He was telling us that we needed to integrate some of the lessons that we were going through and some of the study that we were doing because there was a lot of exploration, and he said it during the clubhouse, like sometimes I just let y'all be wrong because we need the exploration. So the exploration was around, it was just a simple statement about the book of Romans being fake, and we dug into it, but it's it revealed a lot more rabbit holes than we thought it would, and it opened our eyes to how much sharper we needed to be as scholars. It helped us to put our scholarship, our levels of scholarship in perspective, and we had to like work together on it, as opposed to everyone individually sitting down and oh, there goes the power. Everybody individually sitting around and doing their own thing. It was more like we had to come together and really put our heads together and think about this. And we each went down our own rabbit holes, and we came out. It's like, well, I found this. And I found this. So, oh, and peace to everyone. I see you all coming into the space. Peace, Imakaya. Peace, talk to your speakers. Peace, Brother Ramik. Um, yeah, peace, Ras Kush. Peace on the radio. Yeah, man. So, living a life is musical. Like, why did I choose musical if I was thinking about silence? For some reason, I don't know why. Peace, Yafet. Just talking about you. Um, when when I woke up this morning, I had a song playing in my head, and I could not get it out. And it wasn't until like around midday where I was like, let me play the song because I don't know why this is playing in my head. It was Supper Time from Little Shop of Horrors. I don't know if any of you remember that movie, or I'm sorry, there's something going on with this bulb. Let me, because it's distracting. I don't know when having a seizure on me. Yeah, let me turn that off. How many Nubians did it take to change the light bulb? But yeah, the song from Little Shop of Horrors came to mind, right? Supper time, and it was my favorite song from that film, from the musical. And I, for some of you who may not know, I have like a background being around theater, and it's like it's still on. It's like electronics attack. Unscrew that. Still on when I flip the switch. That's crazy. Yeah, but it was my favorite song from the musical. And I have a background in theater, and sometimes we put on musicals. Oh, peace after Gertrude, peace talk to your speakers. When you work in theater, whether you want to or not, something's gonna rub off on you. And this is what made me realize how dangerous media really is, because you don't necessarily have to participate on stage, but because you're around it so much and there's so much repetition, and you see people mess up, and you're backstage like cracking up, making jokes, whether you're in the play or you're working like as a stagehand, or you're helping the director, you're working wardrobe, you're working lights, you're working sound, no matter where you are, you're gonna be cracking up because you're looking at the script and you know what it's supposed to be. But when people actually get it and it starts coming together and you get into it, Shabbat Shalom, Aki Kara. Yeah, when you start to get into it, it's like, okay, I can see how everything is coming together, and you start singing along. And once you hear that music enough times, or, you know, really, you're really in danger when you start singing. Like, that's it. The song is in your head for months and you can't get it out. So sometimes it happens that I hear certain things and I may not necessarily know why it's coming back to me. Like, it starts playing in my head, but I go and listen to that thing and it leads me on like on a journey. It's really interesting, especially when we think about what Chief was mentioning. He's mentioned it many times, but he also mentioned it during our, I can't even call it clubhouse, a Sunday build. He had mentioned that, that spiritual realm, it speaks through symbolism. It doesn't necessarily speak like you and I would in terms of a very linear language. It's very abstract, and it can charge you emotionally. And it's something that I always found interesting. Like, if there's something in my head and I just follow that thread, it leads me to somewhere that I wouldn't, like, if someone told me to go there, I wouldn't do it. But I was led there, and it achieved a certain result. So I listened to the song, Supper Time, and I liked it because of the bass, and the melodies and everything. And then I started listening to other songs, like looking at other scenes from the movie. And it made me realize that when people, I got to the backstage part, and it reminded me of theater again, and the idea of play, having that level of levity, not necessarily being tied down or pulled down. You have that lev, like Sister Yafe shared with us. The lev is like, it's bringing you up, where the gravity is like pulling you down, and you also have lev dealing with the Levites as well. So when you have something pulling you down or weighing you down, you may not necessarily remember that you can have fun. You can stop what you're doing. You can sing while you're doing what you're doing. You can even do a little dance. If you try something, you don't know if it's gonna work, but it actually works out. You got it. And you do your little 5-second dance break. So there's all of these little things that you can do to appreciate your daily life, and sometimes through that accumulation, through that 6 days, you lose sight of it. And this is a key piece. It happens so often that we have to be reminded that we lose sight of these things. It's possible. You can tell other people that it's possible, but sometimes you still forget that you can lose sight of the levity of life, that you can experience. Um, I also went to look up, like I was saying earlier, I looked up silence at TV, and what came up was the power of silence. It was episode 6 of the TV podcast, and it dealt with, just the level of connectivity that you can have to the Most High you know, when you're silent. And Chief made sure he delineated silent from quiet, which are very different. Quiet is more like a reduced volume, as opposed to silence, which is not just like an internal quieting, but an internal cessation of noise and chatter. But it's also external. The external actually happens first. The external happens, and then it starts to fade out, and then you start to quiet the inner chatter, and then eventually it too like capitulates to that silence, and that silence helps you to connect to the One, or to the Most High. And he had said something key there that I thought it made it easy to remember the importance of silence. And he said, the one, let me read it, make sure I don't butcher it. Okay, in order for the three representing mind, body, and spirit, in order for the three to communicate with the One, all three have to be silent. So you can't have your mind and your body is silent, but your spirit is troubled, or your spirit and your mind is good to go, but your body is wrapped with illnesses. All three have to be silent in order to do that listening. And many times, one that's not silent is the mind. And there's a lot of things that we can do to like shake it. Like you can do simple things like being around children helps, because I was awe-stricken. I'll never forget this moment at the retreat. I don't know why it was so profound to me, but I just saw children playing in puddles, and me fighting myself to not try to stop them. Like I'm so tightly wound that I'm ready. I'm willing to stop children. It's like, what's wrong with me? So it made me think, okay, you're really like high strung here. You need to relax. And I missed a lot of opportunities to do so at the retreat. There was singing, there was dancing, and I wasn't as involved as I could have been. And in hindsight, I think it was a missed opportunity, because there's a missed opportunity for levity. There's a missed opportunity for the kids skipping stones. They were fishing. Yeah, you gotta jump in the puddles. You're right. These suede shoes. You know what I mean? shoes cost more than you do. Come on, man. But that's the things, right? And the things don't always necessarily have to be something physical. It could be something mental. There can be something that's stopping you from even making a sound unless you're like speaking. So as simple as what was I doing? I think I was making some food the other day. I was kind of in a groove because I was working, so I stopped for a break, get something to eat, and I was humming. I was like, okay, but I wasn't like humming like to pass the time. I was like getting into it, So it's like something simple like that, making a noise that helps you to loosen that grip on reality. So I'll ask this. This is my first question, right? Something simple. I wanted to keep it the theme of levity and, just enjoying oneself. So when was the last time you hummed? Or what was the last song that you hummed? Like, you ever caught yourself just humming? Like, you might have been singing in the shower, that counts too. But yeah, you ever caught yourself just humming? You ever tune in your head and you just sing it, you know? Um, I've seen children do that too. Like, they be making stuff up. They be making stuff up. You're like, what song is that? I don't know. Yeah, but with the quiet and silence piece, Chief had also made um, he made a very powerful connection between the relationship of sound and silence, as opposed to noise, but sound and silence, because sound is what, like, sound vibration creates everything, as he pointed out, but that silence is like the backdrop for it. It's like a blank canvas. You can paint stuff on anything really, but you need your canvas, you need that surface for it to sit in. So that container is that silence. And if you don't have the silence, then you're not making a sound, because you're making noise. Noise comes from the fact that the sound is tethered to whatever is making you heavy. The sound is connected to whatever is making you heavy. So when you're manifesting things that you say that you want to manifest, what comes along with it is a representation of that chatter. So you may get that contract that you wanted, but along with it is a messed up client, because you have something messed up going on inside of you. Or along with it, you have to deal with blockages in your path, because you have certain blockages that you didn't necessarily deal with. So it's like you can't escape the things that are going on inside of you. So that's the power of that silence. Um, you're ceasing that external chatter first, but then the internal chatter that's creating the external, now you go inside and you realize, okay, this is the root of the thing. This is the root of this thing. And then all of a sudden you keep uprooting things, and facing them with a level of truthfulness. Now you can start hearing the voice of the creator. Now you can start hearing what Chief had deemed as your soul's dignity. Silence allows the orchestration of your soul to express its own dignity. That was one of the quotes from that segment as well. But definitely check it out. Chief Yuya podcast, Spotify, iTunes, chiefyuya.com. That you can find it in many different places. It's gonna put a link down below as well. Okay, let's see what these songs are. Okay, 88 Keys. Yeah, where is that? Bob Marley, Misty Morning. Yeah, I like that song too. I like that song. What a Feeling, Irene Cara. I will not pretend I know who that is, or what that song is. We felt like a new jam session. Everybody just bring your favorite song. Have rotation. Ever do that past the aux cord in the car? You always have that one person like, who man's is this? They start playing the Pokemon theme. It's inspirational. Anu Radio says, I was humming a few songs together, melodies that just come to my head. All right, so you even be DJing in your mind. I guess you on the radio. Ramik, I hum daily, almost hard to stop. All right, cool. Music. I used to get kicked out of class for making beats on the table. Boy, those were the days. Yeah, classrooms, like classroom and sound did not mix well, because I rarely spoke back then. And like, corporal punishment is a thing in the Caribbean. Like, y'all get off easy. Y'all just made the teacher have a mental breakdown. They just replaced them. But with us, like, you get beaten, and it used to happen every time without fail. The teacher would be like, y'all stay quiet, which is like impossible. And as soon as the teacher walks out and they close the door behind them, You just hear this eruption of noise, and I'm like, I know the teachers heard everyone start speaking, but everybody would get punished, and I was like, I was a borderline misanthrope. I didn't like being around people, so it used to irritate me more when I was stuck in a room full of people who will talk and I get punished. I think at one point in some classes, I moved my desk to the middle of the classroom. There was no one sitting next to me, and I was like, I dare you to punish me, because who am I gonna talk to? But yeah, yeah, I get you though. They used to make like beats on the table and have like freestyle sessions, and you always had like the lookout, South to Gertrude, we are family. All right, cool. What were you got? What were you all doing in your helmet? I can picture South to Gertrude like putting together a fruit bowl or making a salad or cooking and making something for husband or something. Sister Yafe threw the fire up, Shaka Khan, the big door. Um, Johnny P's Caddy, J. Cole featuring Benny the Butcher. Yeah, I heard the one too. I heard the one. Like, share, and subscribe. Give thanks, Imanaya. Oh, I can do this. But then I bust out singing, so that may not that counts too. That's like next level. Like I said, singing in the shower counts. And if it leads to something else, if it leads to something even more lighthearted and playful, then good. Even better. MGC Randy, I know you're out there somewhere. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I know you're out there somewhere. Rap from the genre. That's another big tool. Um, Here we go. Aquí el Gra. Azul the core domar. Tin Maya. How does that go? Like, you can't even type it. You see, this is why we gotta meet in person. You can't even type it. Yeah, I wonder if I could do it. Sister Yafe did. Put the link in the chat. And everybody just piling. Did I do that? How should she do that? Anyway, I'll circle back to it if it comes up. But yeah, the humming piece, gotta look down up. Yeah, exactly. Half the things I can references, I gotta Google. Like anytime he opens his mouth, I learn like 6,000 things. He like one she tongue from Avatar. 10,000 things. Let's see. This is the second question, right? Level it up. So, Sister Yafe, this is your time to shine. When was the last time you sang? When I was, it wasn't when I was listening to Supper Time. I was humming it, but I wasn't singing it. It was in City of God, but I guess I was the only one listening to the music in the background. I might have heard it, but I ain't never looked up the song. I remember I liked that movie, but I never really looked up the soundtrack. As long as it was Brazilian, it was cool enough for me. But I've been learning recently, being around you all, to respect the artist a little bit more. Sometimes I hear something, I like it, and then it's not like until I have one of those moments where I'm humming it. It's like, when did I hear that? So yeah, good to have an archivist throughout. You know, oh, okay. Click the invite. Oh, all right. Let's see how this goes. It has been done. All right, let's see how it goes. Sorry, Gertrude. I was singing at my daughter's wedding. Married my best friend's son. Oh, that's beautiful. Married someone close to the family. That's good. Today, okay, I sing every day. All right. Jolson. I like to sing. I like to sing and June and spring. Uh, Sovereign Eats. Shalom, everyone. Shalom, shalom, Sovereign Eats. Um, my go-to is Porsche with no brakes. Raphael. Okay. Raphael time. Um, let's see what we got. I was singing Sadiko in the car this strong. You know what? We need to click that link. We need to put us on. Aki, put us on. Yeah, but daily, Brown Week says daily. I be in the shower singing. Gotta clean up what I messed up. And victory is mine. Yeah, in the shower, I usually sing Outcast, fresh and clean. I don't sing it out loud though. That's humming is usually as far as I go. I'm not that loud of a person. Okay, next one. This one's gonna be tough for me because I am I do not dance. I can move my shoulders sitting on a chair, but the dancing thing, Matter of fact, I know Zach is gonna get on me for this eventually, but there was a point where people were dancing at the retreat, and I was like, before I went, I was like, someone's gonna try and get me to dance when the drum and the music started, and it was like a premeditated swerve. So I rejected the opportunity to dance. I'll take it up the next time, but I haven't. I'm not the one, I'm not the dancer. But yeah. When was the last time you danced? And okay, let me say in peace. Dancing is an important piece. All of these are important pieces because, again, it's like sound and silence. You're doing something at one point, and then you're doing nothing at another point. And you need both to make music. So having a musical life is not necessarily, all sunshine and rainbows. Because even if you're talking about theatrical musicals, they have their low points, they have their high points, but you always move with the beats of life. You don't move Yahweh today. Today, to this day. Uh, today was part of my movement. Okay. Oh yeah, we know you always dancing, Aki Elgra. I danced with the children earlier today. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Breaking through that old crusty curmudgeon. That crusty curmudgeon who's always like, why y'all making all that noise? Sit down. I danced right before Shabbat. Okay. And we're dancing. All right, that's good. But yeah, it's that sound and silence aspect. You're able to do something at one point because it's like it's right in the moment, and then you do something at another point, but it's also right in the moment. You're silent when it's right. You speak up when it's right. Like in the required qualities, especially for men. I don't think it's on the women's side so much, but for men, it's vocal, right? Being able to be vocal, like you see something happening, you're able to say, no, don't do that. Or you see something not happening, and you're able to say, yes, this is what you need to be doing. Like that binary off and on sort of thing. But you also have the option to do something wrong, which is like it's like the rub, like Chief was saying. The the special thing about being human is you don't have to evolve. So you can do things properly and righteously, or you can do things wrong, and you're just as welcome to do either. Now, if it's productive or not, that's on you, depending on what you're attempting to do. But obviously, we've heard and seen and read various scriptures that speaks to the value of listening and submitting to teaching and submitting to even chastisement, So the dancing thing, it really helps because it loosens up that crustiness that would cause you to maybe feel hurt or feel damaged or choose outrage whenever someone tells you something that seems like it feels it feels like it hurt, it feels like you're attacking me, or you're coming down on me, or you're judging me, but it's not really based on your perception of it. This is what it is. This is the truth of it. And you can either be loose and flexible and light and move according to what's happening, or you can stay crusty and rigid and brittle, and you just start cracking and breaking along with those external shells. Are you rigid to the bone, or is there just some crust that needs to be scraped away on the external parts? That's what your levity helps you to do. That's what your humming and your singing and your dancing helps to facilitate. It's not the power in itself, but it helps you to reach it because you can quiet that chatter. You can quiet that noise. If you have too much chatter, you um, start being super self-conscious, like I am a lot. You start like, okay, my left leg is doing this. What's my right arm doing? You start doing that as opposed to just feeling it and flowing from inside out. But the chatter has to die down, or you're gonna be like arrested. Um, yeah, you're gonna be arrested in the moment, and your thoughts and your chatter is gonna stop you from growing, or it's gonna slow down your growth. And that's something that happens in Maleficent. you know. So the sisters did a wonderful job with Maleficent, breaking it down. There's some moments. I'll let you find out for yourself. You gotta go watch it if you wasn't there. Hint, hint. And like, share, and subscribe while you're there. You know, but yes, they were breaking down just the aspect of this is where these two worlds meet and start start what? Elating. You have these two worlds where you have on one side you have um, these British looking folk, and then on the other side you have the Moors, who are oddly also British, and they're portrayed as fairies, and then you have this fairy named Maleficent, who is like the protector, and she goes through traumatizing experience, and she chose to stay there mentally, and eventually does something very spiteful, and through her spite, she is like I wouldn't even want to say punished. She's just put in a tough spot. She feels uncomfortable for a while, and then everything just eventually works out in the end. You know, but we did touch on how society has warped and twisted our sense of righteousness and wickedness, our sense of what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing. And we're basically rooting for the ones who are like breaking all the laws. Like we're drawn to that one as opposed to being drawn to the one who's actually reflecting our highest ideals, if we're still connected to it. But again, if you have all this chatter, if you're always worried about social media and listening to the radio, what kind of news is coming on, what's going on TikTok, how do I pay my rent, all of these different things that become chatter. My child is always getting in fights. What am I going to do with this one who seems to be confused about who they want to be? They want to go over here and join this gang. They want to, like, all kind of things are happening because of your environment is too loud. It's louder than what's going on in the internal space. And the internal space is maybe even more loud. How do you quiet that? If you're always in spaces that, like Chief had said during a previous segment, you're saturated, or you're in a culture that's saturated with what's trying to pull you away from that silent space or that peaceful space. And peace is, of course, Chief and I think Akizaki as well broke down many times. Peace is maintaining your identity in the midst of chaos, or knowing your identity in the midst of chaos. That's how you stay at peace. But that silence helps you to even discover or connect with that identity in the first place. So peace, Yakira Eden, peace, Brother Darian Lampley. Yeah, man. Um, so back to the piece of, you know, understanding when to be silent and when to listen. There is a verse from Proverbs, right? Or Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 23. And it says, a man hath joy by the answer of his mouth, and a word spoken in due season. How good is it? So some things are like just in poor taste because um it's not congruent with the moment. It's not righteous because you're not doing the right thing in the moment. You're doing something that's just off. And that's when silence has to happen because maybe you're not connecting with the moment, as opposed to when you are connected with the moment or you are connected with that source, you say something and it's right on time, you know, and is connected with the truth and it's simple. Like Chief had said, the best things are the simple things. And even with the power of silence, he had broken down, the most powerful music, or the most, even if you're making food, you add too many ingredients, you don't taste anything. The best music is the ones that has the least amount of instrumentation. So how do you move in a way where your life is musical? How do you move in a way where you're silent in the right moments? You like you say, let the beat breathe. You're silent in the moment, and you're speaking in the moment, and you're going with the flow. You're in tune with the beats of life. Like they would say in theater, like there's acting beats. So you say a line, and then you can sort of feel when's the right time to deliver the next line. You call them beats. And but yeah, those are some of the things that I wanted to touch on. Just the idea of being light, and what the sisters had broken down in Maleficent. Um, the idea that, and what Chief has broken down in the Maleficent breakdown as well, dealing with you having certain entities or certain forces or certain archetypes being portrayed in a sympathetic light. And now this person isn't evil, they're just misunderstood. This person isn't doing something wrong, or that you shouldn't judge them. You should try to understand them. You should listen to their backstory. I think Aki Zach brought this up during the Sunday build. Well, let me tell you more about me. You maybe you don't understand. Maybe I need to explain it to you more. It's like you can't talk your way into being right, you know. And that's what that humming brought about with what I spoken about earlier with Little Shop of Horrors. The humming kit took me to a couple of scenes that made me realize this whole movie hinged on rationalizations. Every single story beat was a rationalization that carried him deeper and deeper into this hole until this demon he was feeding got too big for him, and now it sought to take him out. So, if you're not familiar with the film, which I don't know where you've been, but Little Shop of Horrors is a film. It was originally a stage play, and it was a film um, that came out, I think, in the 70s or the 80s. And it's about a plant that comes from outer space, but it's a plant-like creature, I should say. Comes from outer space. It looks like a Venus flytrap, but it's like a melanated Venus flytrap. Going back to that green, speaking to melanin that Chief had brought up during the first day build. Yeah, down on Skid Row. Yeah, but hey, that soundtrack, like that was one of my favorite soundtracks. Oh, I still find myself humming those songs at random times. But feed me, right? Always sing it. Yeah, man. So this plant is like, at first it can only tell him because he's trying to figure out how to feed this plant. You know, he finds this plant on the day of a solar eclipse, and total eclipse of the sun. You know, but he finally realizes that this plant eats blood. You know, it wants meat. And oh, y'all used to have the CD soundtrack? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I loved it too when I was younger. I didn't understand what was going on, but I just liked the fact that there was a giant plant that was singing. You know, I didn't know anything else that was going on. I just know there's a giant plant, and I like green. So that's all I knew. Um, but after a while, he keeps feeding this plant his blood, and it gets to a point where he's lightheaded all the time. He starts losing weight, but he's getting all of this fame and success and notoriety from this demon he keeps feeding. And yeah, he started feeding it with a little drip from his finger. I think he cut his finger, like he stuck himself with the thorn of a rose because he's a botanist. He's like yeah, he's a botanist. I say botanist, and he has this flower shop that he works at, you know, and he has his boss. He has the woman that he has a crush on, who's been an abusive boyfriend. What else is new? You know, and all of these quote unquote zero to hero movies have a similar trope. You're working with someone who doesn't. The cast was basically Hercules. Like the animated series, you had the boss who talks down to him. You have the girl who flaunts in front of him, and then you have the abusive boyfriend, like Hades, you know, holding a hostage. Hades wasn't abusive; he's just trying to collect on the deal. But anyway, um, but yeah, he keeps feeding this plant, and eventually he can't feed it anymore from his own resources. So then he starts feeding it other people, starting with said boyfriend, you know, who's played by Steve Martin, and the dentist. I'll be a dead. I start singing. Don't catch me. But yeah, he starts um, basically feeding people to the plant because he's like, who am I going? Where am I going to get them as blood? And he was like, the plant was like, I don't know. I sure there's someone you get 86 real quick, like, you know. So he's getting inside of his head, slowly whittling away at his moral compass, which is very shaky because he's doing all of this stuff for this girl, you know. And eventually he gives in because he sees dude. I think he slaps him, and after that he has a quick switch. You know, it's like a 180. But at the beginning of the song, he's like, I don't know, and it's the same song. You know, feed me, Seymour. Anyway, I sing, but they had this switch where in the beginning of the song he's like, I don't know, I have so many strong reservations. And after he sees her get hit, it was like, well, the lyrics are, if you need a rationale, it ain't that hard to see. Um, and then it ends up with the guy, sure looks like plant food to me. You know, so the rationale piece, right? You have a rationale that keeps you that you use it to convince yourself to keep all of this stuff that weighs you down. You know, so the question that Chief would ask, how much stuff do you have? You know, and you can't say how much stuff you have, but it's like, why don't you get rid of all of it? Now you can spit out all of these rationales for why you need to keep it, right? So that's my next question. Last question. How do you rationalize holding on to the things that weigh you down? Um, the simp with a monster pet. That's right. Aki Kara. I mean, Aki, not even Aki, Awa Yadaram. My bad. Um, everyone who was a problem became sushi. Yeah, Mr. Mushnik, who owned the store, he found out that he saw him basically chopping up the body of Steve Carell after he died. not, not Steve Carell, Steve Martin. I'm all mixed up today. I'm all loopy. But Steve Martin, who played the dentist, he starts cutting up his body, and Mr. Mushnick comes home because Seymour lives in the shop. You know, he comes home and he notices him chopping up the body. So he's like, uh-uh. So he pulls a gun on him, and this is when supper time plays. Why is supper time playing? Because someone just found out what you're doing with this plant. So now you got to kill them and feed them to the plant. You know, so he keeps coming up with rationalization after rationalization, and eventually he's the target because he's standing in the plant's way now. He thought that everyone was standing in his way, but in reality, the plant was like, I don't have arms and legs, so that's why I'm going to get you to do all my stuff for me. But as soon as I'm able to move, yeah, I don't need you no more. You see more. You know, we was cool. You know, we had some laughs, but now it's time for you to go. You know, and there were actually two endings to the movie. I like the one that wasn't aired. One of them, the first one, I think the one that did air, like the one that made it to the movies, was there was like a what if sort of thing. Because now here it is, you see all of these different plants that are in the same um, seedling form as Audrey too. That's what he names the plant. He names it after Audrey, the girl who he's simping for. You know, so Audrey too is now a product or a type of plant, and it's on sale everywhere. You know, so what happens? He realizes that this plant is from outer space, for one, me and grandmother from outer space, and he's bad. And then after he realizes this, it's too late, you know, but they start selling them all over the place. And it was like a what if thing where they zoom in on the plant, and then that's the end of the movie. Cool. The other end of the movie is the more realistic one, where all of these plants grow up to be just as big as the first Audrey 2, and they take over the world. That's the one I like, because people always, again, like the Maleficent thing, people always try to make it seem like no matter how bad you are, you can be redeemed. You know, you just need to, I don't know, it's not even trusting the Lord, it's trusting the plot of the movie. You know, but after a certain period of time, you realize that this person, they don't deserve that ending. You know, you do all of these horrible things, and at the end of the movie, you're fine, you know, and you can just run off or walk off or ride off or fly off into the sunset, you know, as opposed to the killer plants from outer space just laughing in the night while they're destroying the planet because you invited them and fed them and gave them a taste for blood, you know, which is more realistic. Um, you know, Yakira Eden says that movie really reflects how closeted demons are given space to grow. You must let the light in to burn the fear away. Yeah, but the parts of you that are attached to that, they gonna feel that burn too. You know, like you could, I think of it as, you know, like when someone gets cut and they have to like, in a movie, like they get heavily wounded and they start to cauterize the wound. They do a you know, you can feel it. Yeah, you might need one of them. You know, you might need a little bit of sizzle in your life. um, our Yadaram says there's rational or rational self-deceit. Most move away from the reality that it is insane to hold on to such things. What I was When I was one of those people, I would tap dance around with irrelevant insight. Yeah. Well, think about this, bro. Why is blue blue, but green is green and red is red? You ever thought about that? And then when you look at it, the color scheme is RGB. You know, red, blue, green. Think about it. Yeah, you start talking about stuff like that, and it works on, you know, certain groups of people, and those are the ones we tend to try to make ourselves comfortable around. But at the end of the day, you know that you're smarter than that, and it starts to bug you because I can convince these people, but Like, I can't lie to me, or maybe you can. Maybe it gets to the point where you're flying on autopilot and you don't even register what's going on around you. Right. Nah, but I'm saying though, no matter what you, no matter what kind of logic you throw at them, that's like the trump card. Nah, but I'm saying though, we give each rationalization a job. Once it has a role, it has permission to stay. That means we're stuck in excuse mode. Major problem. Yeah, until you get around people who don't accept excuses. And now you're at a crossroads where you're face to face with the truth, and you can either grow, hashtag grow, or you can shy away from it and pretend you didn't hear nothing, And like Chief said, we we make mistakes. Like we don't have to evolve. I won't say we make mistakes. We make mistakes. We don't have to evolve because, of course, we make mistakes, but the evolution comes usually after the mistake. Especially when you realize the mistake was made, you can evolve, or you can tap dance and keep feeding your carnivorous plant in secret. But eventually it's gonna grow and consume you. Or they're gonna basically spread spores and reproduce, utilizing your energy supply and your blood, you know, like Audrey too was singing. I swear on all my spores, when he's gone, the world will be yours. And they had that bass playing. The bass line for that song is what gets me. Anyway, I'm not gonna talk about the movie no more. Quite break out the song. Um, Absolutely, that agitation of accountability um, required we either change or leave. Yeah, but okay, it's another Bob Marley song. You running and you running and running away, but you can't run away from yourself. Remember that one? Raskush? Okay. Abiyada Ram says, after learning Anu thought, I was forced to judge myself first and by my community. Anu way in salvation model, we are taught that this process of judgment is what forces us to reveal the Most High in us. Yeah, man. Yeah, you gotta go through it. I don't know why this light bulb decided to shut down right when I started. But yeah, if y'all see me squinting, this is going on. But yeah, man. But I'm always squinting. But yeah, I noticed y'all was talking, bringing up on them songs. But when we brought up the rationalization, everybody got quiet. What's up? Um, why you can't find a place where you belong? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it must be a level of discomfort to pull up the chain or even see it. Okay, there's one from Sequoia. I don't think I'm ready yet. It's a famous thought I've observed in my own psyche. Yeah, yeah, that's one. That's one that I say it. I say it. I don't think I'm ready yet. I can't say that I've observed it in my own psyche. Like I I say it. And by saying that I say it, I recognize that I've. This one of those things I've tethered myself to. Whenever you find yourself saying that though, it's like well, you start asking rational questions. A, what does ready mean? B, what kind of measuring stick are you using to measure yourself? You don't think you're ready or you don't feel ready. Those are two different things. And you have a lot more in you than you realize. But again, that's like that internal chatter. If you can't silence that, then you won't hear from the one, because the mind is chattering, the mind is loud. You gotta have all three silent. Like Chief had broken down. If you have your body making all kind of noise, you have an oil up your knees, So they're making a squeaking noise every time you bend down and pick something up, or every time you stand up, you hear something popping and cracking. you know, um, your body's gonna distract you. It's making too much noise. It's not, and it's making noise because either you fed it the wrong things and now it's addicted, or it's in pain and you're not addressing the pain. So you just keep ignoring it, or you keep doing stuff to distract yourself, and you rationalize your body's pain as, I'll get to it when I have time, but right now I don't have time. You're on a planet governed by gravity. All you got is time. That's all you got. Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. As forever tomorrow's past. Right, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, man, that's a famous one. Actually, that one was brought up during the levity segment as well. I think Akizak. Yeah, Akizak. No, that was Sister Yafe. She was like, like, who's to say that you have time? You won't always have time. You keep saying tomorrow, like, you can't do it. You can't do it tomorrow because you may have missed your shot. You may have missed the boat, but you might have missed your exit. It's like driving on, your exit is on the right and you all the way at the left. So how you gonna do it? You're gonna drive yourself through everybody's lane and cut off everyone just so that you could get to the exit that you missed from procrastinating. So that's something that, and Chief has said too, like you can take a decade-long digression from procrastinating, which is like no bueno. Like, I don't have too many decades in me. I don't know about y'all. I think we're supposed to get 10 of them joints. Our Yadaram says there are far less gods than humans. Humans would rationalize a mind that is developing a relationship with his inner God, will wear the bruises of judgment as he pulls closer to the Most High. Let me read that again. So there are far less gods than humans. Humans would rationalize a mind that is developing a relationship with his inner God. It will wear the bruises of judgment as he pulls closer to the Most High. Yeah, man. You know what? First of all, I want to change this light bulb. It's killing me. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Aha. Here we go. Light. All right. That was inspired by the salvation model. Okay. Can you I don't want to just gloss over what you said. Can you elaborate on where you're going with that, or what kind of angle you're coming from? Abiyato? I'll just keep going till you come back. Brother Ramik says, guilty of the I'll do it tomorrow mindset, as well as overthinking, being a perfectionist, and sometimes procrastination. Yeah, all of those things are symptoms of procrastination. And this is coming from a chronic procrastinator, trying to change my ways. But yeah, I think I have changed a good bit since coming into Anu, because there is that level of if you can do it now, then do it now. What you waiting for? And part of that too comes from that school damage, and it was one of the segments, the clubhouse segments too, where Chief was bringing up the point that we think we need permission to do things that we don't necessarily need permission to do, or we need a license to do certain things that we don't need a license to do. You could just do it. You don't need someone to say, I encourage you to do this. and then you go do it to get a pat on the back. You know, yeah, man, and it usually happens when it's something that's unconventional. You know, something like getting a job at or getting a quote unquote good job. That's not something that feels difficult. It feels difficult to some, but to others, it doesn't really feel as difficult as going and doing what they really have it in them to do. You know, fulfilling or attaining your own potential. That's something that scares a lot of people because it's like the edge of a cliff. Like, I don't know what I am beyond what I am right now. And what I know is inside of me is much greater than what I am right now. So to push towards that, I'm pushing the boundaries of, what I know. I'm pushing the boundaries of my current environment. That in itself is scary. It's like in the movie Maleficent, that forest or the moors. Of course, moor means black or brown or dark. So you're going into that dark space. You're going into that space where you're not sure what's creeping around the corner. You know, like you ever walk inside your place before you turn on the light, you think you think someone's in your house, and then you turn on the light and it's just a I don't know, a coat hanger with a hat on top of it. But you don't know. You know, it could be anything inside. So the first thing you usually do now as a reflex whenever you enter a room is hit the light. You know, I need to see what's going on in here. Some people do that during the daytime. Um, elaboration from the other round. From the rationalized question. Oh, okay, the salvation model introduces us to the mindset of the work ahead and the judgments to be received due to the work neglected in the past. Okay, I got where you're coming from. So, let me make sure I'm clear. Are you saying that the rationalization that is made is the rationalization for holding on to what makes you heavy? It is related to a mindset that doesn't want to do the work, or it's trying to neglect the past. Is that what you're saying? Let me make sure. What shoe class? I'll be ready to shoot. Yeah. Who's there? Um, but I do feel you on the idea that there are things that need to be done, and we neglect them sometimes. And the things that we neglect are usually the things that are gonna make us lighthearted. You know, bring that lift, yeah. And it goes on to also teach us that self and community judgment that is inspired by the laws of the Most High are components of the formula that set us apart from humans. Okay, so the part of the formula that sets us apart from humans is that self and community judgment. And these are inspired by the laws of the Most High. So here it is now in a community of Israelites or people who move with a similar mentality, a similar calculation of how life works. Once you judge internally, you know, and these judgments are based on the Most High's laws, then you're going to have that formula that sets us apart from just having a human experience or just moving around like people who only have the body, but they don't have the mind or the spirit. Oh yeah, I missed that one. Yeah, the key on island, you know, which is an interesting experience in itself. But yeah, man, I definitely appreciate you all coming through, and based on what we've gone over tonight with the humming and the singing and the dancing, right, and paying attention to the sounds and silence. Can you say that you have like a musical life, you know, or can you say that your life has been an experience that has a beautiful proportion, let's say, of sound and silence. Like it's a righteous proportion of sound and silence. It's and it's unique. It's based on the journey that you have to walk. It's not based upon what's on the radio. It's not based upon what you see in popular culture or what you see on you not YouTube, not just YouTube, but on Instagram and all other social media with the influencers. It's something much deeper than that. That um, only you can really bring it up. Because you are that portion of it. I cannot do what some people do. Like Chief had mentioned, some people got big muscles. Like he told the story about the brother was like, "All right, you drive. I'm stronger than you." When they were pushing the car, his gut reaction was to challenge him, and then he's like, you know, "Yeah, I'm not as big as you are. Big as I am, I'm not as big as you are." And I had to learn that early. I just have a wiry frame. I could work out and body build, but it's only so big I can get. I have a reasonably functional brain and a pretty sharp mind, so I've had to use that more than physical muscles. But I also came up under a father who does construction, and he was adamant that I started working as soon as I could. You know, not as soon as I could, because compared to my brothers, I work late. I started working late. But yeah, he made sure that we had a certain work ethic and that we were able to do physical labor. But he still had me in the office doing what he did, dealing with all of the logistics and stuff. So I was pulled away from the field, even though I probably wanted to be out there because I was like, I need this physical work and all of them. But it wasn't what I was designed to do. I was designed to do brain ups. You know, um, let's see. Okay, Abba Yadaram continues. I know we are people from heaven. I make no excuses to reclaim our alignment with our celestial heavenly true nature. We were speaking about this earlier today. You and I had a good conversation just on um, the reformation aspect. You know that you have a certain potential and you're striving to achieve it. And as you release certain things that are weighing you down, there is a levity. I could hear it in your voice too. As you started releasing certain things that were really draining you, and the trade-off wasn't good. It did what you needed it to do at the time, or it did the bare minimum of what you needed to do at the time. But it wasn't like it was beneath you in a way too. And as you released it, it was like you started getting back in tune, or there was a silence in that aspect of your life. And you'd be surprised what kind of sounds you can make now, or what you can hear now. So I'm looking forward to that too. But yeah, that was a good build earlier today. Ross Kush says, I'm appreciating the silence again in life now. There was an imbalance of ruckus. Yeah, man. The reason I thought about silence, even having silence as like a topic, is it was sort of like I was walking somewhere, I was going somewhere, and I had my headphones in. I put them in to listen to something, but I didn't feel like playing nothing. So I eventually took it out, and I was just listening to the environment. You know, it was an interesting sort of vibe. It's like I don't want to listen to nothing. It was almost like a habit to listen to things and drown out outside noise. So it was a nice change. Imanaya, okay. Yada dancing and shaking cowbells. All right, cool. Yeah, man. You jungle over life. Yeah, so we have a festival in the Bahamas called Junkanoo, and I would yell around. He takes part in the parade. He beats well, he doesn't beat drums. He can, but he shakes the cowbell. You can always hear him. Like even if you can't see him, you can always hear him like chanting like yeah. You always hear him in the background over all of the horns, over all of the drums, all of the brass. So that's it'd be full joy to see that. Uh, Imanaya says, I enjoy silence early in the dawnings, but will turn music on throughout the day. I do go through times when I don't want to hear anything but silence. I won't listen to music. Yeah, I had the same experience. I didn't want to hear anything but what was going on. Um, just what was going on around me. I didn't want anything extra. Ima Akira Eden says, yes, knowing ourselves shape and choosing to function based upon that formula truly aids in the climb. Nothing like thinking you're the Hulk when you're Mighty Mouse. I'll recognize the strength therein. Yeah, man. um, here I come to say the thing. Yeah. Ravik says, I almost liken it to silent and secluded. I almost like it too, silent and secluded. I have to shake back at times and turn something on. You know, why? Maybe it's just like a rhythm that you move with. It might be silence at one point. That you don't have to be silent, but you choose silence, and then it might be sound another point. You choose sound. I'm not to your point. Like your point just made me remember something. Sometimes we choose things and we blame it on being on autopilot, and it was something that I saw in passing. Um, there was a story, like a comic book story, where the Joker plays like a Herculean trick on Superman, and I think the series is called Injustice. But there was a scene in Hercules in Myth where Hercules is, I think he's poisoned, or he's given some sort of, he's put under some sort of illusion, and he basically slaughters his children and his wife Megara. And it's a similar thing to who was it? Superman. Superman, I think he was sprayed with something that the villain Scarecrow uses, and it makes you hallucinate and see your worst fear. So he saw his worst fear, but he thought his wife Lois was Doomsday. If any of you saw the movie, Doomsday was the one who basically killed Superman in the movie. But Doomsday was like, you gotta fight him with all your might. So imagine him fighting Lois Lane, a mere human, with all his strength. And he kills her, and she's pregnant. So after that, Superman starts rationalizing, basically taking over the planet. He's like, I won't stop till there's no more crime. Yeah, you sound like a tyrant, bro. you know, but the rationalizations happen because you make it seem as though you didn't have a choice, but you did choose something, and you make it seem like you're driven by grief or whatever emotion you can conjure up. And it's similar to the Maleficent thing where you something happens to you that's horrible, and then you utilize it as an excuse or rationalization to do more horrible things, like cursing a child while they're in the crib. you know. Okay. Honor Radio says nature's orchestra is what inspires man-made instruments. Yeah. Kira Eden says, I tend to create personal moments of silence often. Tuning the world out, no matter where I am, is part of my medicine. Yeah, there's a need for it, and it comes up in a very, like, well, for me, it comes up in a very grumpy way when I don't when I don't really respond to that need, like, in a timely manner. If I need to be alone, or if I need to sometimes I just, like, my favorite pastime is doing nothing. Because I'm always doing something. You know, a good brother of mine, he always says, I need a YouTube channel called Doing the Most. Because I'm every time he calls me, he has to ask, like, most people who call me, they have to preface it with, "Are you busy now?" You know, because they know I'm always doing something. And I think doing nothing every once in a while, this is why Shabbat is so important. But even besides Shabbat, you need those moments of silence to, like, collect yourself. And sometimes that moment of silence is work. Um, Sometimes you need to not really have any external stimuli because you need all of your faculties to focus on solving a particular problem or strategizing a particular movement. You know, you may have multiple people, dozens, maybe even hundreds of people under you whose um, way of life or standard of living or lives in general could hinge on the decision you're about to make. So it may be a point where you have to withdraw. You have to have a form of asceticism, or go into the forest or go into the desert, go where there are no humans, there's no external stimuli. And you have to quiet that internal chatter, you know, like what I referenced earlier. Like I definitely highly recommend that segment. Chief also came up with another segment um, earlier this strong as well, episode 67. I think it's 67. The Ish Hits the Fan. He deals with the illusions that we try to conjure around ourselves. You know, you may be one thing, but you try to make yourself seem like another thing because, I don't know, maybe that thing is it, or maybe that's what people would approve of. But all of that external chatter has to be quiet. Not even quiet, it has to be silenced. You know, and if you're able to silence yourself, then you're able to go into that realm of creation. So you can't make nothing if there's something there. You know, you need destruction before you can create. So you have to remove all of those external stimuli in order to make something. You know, this is why Shabbat is so important. Because you take time away from all of these external sounds and noises, things that keep you from tuning into the one. I'll be silent for that part. You know, things that keep you tuning into the one. Yeah. Yeah, but I think that having people around you like likes, that helps you to tune into the one as well, because we all point out each other's flaws, especially in our loop. Like we crack jokes on each other all day long, and it's a healthy it's a healthy form of exchange where you know that the people around you care for you, no matter what is said. You know it's for your best interest is at heart. You know, you can tell when an errant energy is present because you know that, like, nah, that's not, like, you can tell. You know what I mean? And it's similar to that silence piece. Like, if you're silent and you have that peace, you're able to identify yourself in the moment, no matter if it's chaotic or peaceful. You can tell when something's out of place. You cannot tell when something's out of place in a dirty room. But if the place is clean and spotless, and someone just, I don't know, someone just takes their drawers off in the middle of the floor, or leave their socks or their string shoes in the middle of the floor because they're too busy to put them away. It's like you just you disturbing the peace. You know what I mean? You're disturbing my peace, but the peace of the home. This place isn't unorganized. This place is orderly. So you're disturbing the peace. That was a violent act just now, because that's not what my home is. You know, so it's sort of like that too in your internal space. My internal space is not confused, and it does not have a high level of pent up feelings or a high level of pent up emotions Nah, it's clean. My system work clean like a whistle. So if there's some sort of imbalance there, then okay, that's either a product of chatter, or that's chatter that's trying to get louder, and you need to not turn down the volume, not smother it, not muffle it. You gotta silence it. You know. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that piece. I thought it was an important piece moving into this next 7-day cycle. Work on that silencing of all three. The mind, body, and the spirit, and that way those three can listen to the one. All right. So with that being said, of course we have our Shabbat. And after our Shabbat bills and we take our rest, tune in and commune with each other, we have first day, which is with Aki El Karar, dealing with dealing with his bill on Clubhouse and on YouTube and on Facebook as well. And of course, we have our study session as well. Before that though, we also have Anu Radio on the ones and twos, and she's going to be coming with another insightful mix. Her mixes are usually built around insights from great teachers like Chief Yuya or Amos Wilson, or multiple different clips that build on um, a certain concept, that we can take into the strong, and it helps to get your movement into, the stretching muscles. It's the first day, so you start your first day off with some good vibes, and then you build with a group of beautifully intelligent and righteous people. Then you move on to Wednesday, where we have our study session, and then after our study session, we have our movie breakdown. We're breaking down Noah, not we, but yeah, we, all of us, with the sisters are facilitating the breakdown of Noah, right? So, of course, we're going to watch the movie and do our due diligence and come together like Voltron and just share what we found. And then after that, on Thursday, of course, we're going to be joined by Choti Maria for another Shabbat, fellowship. We get to fellowship with each other and laugh, and, we just wind down and move into Shabbat and enjoy each other, as best we can until we can see each other in the physical again, which is pretty soon. The retreat is coming up, our fall retreat, which we're looking forward to. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Of course, you have chiefyuya.com for the segment that I've been referencing throughout this section, and check out all of the segments. You can, like I said, you can't anything you want to anything you want to explore, any concept. I promise you, type in that concept and Chief Yuya, and there's a segment on it. Like it hasn't failed me yet. So yeah, that's a little pro tip, little life hack. But yeah, also the annual blog on first day, it comes out on first day as well. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Usually on our social media channels, we have Anu Womb, at Anu Womb, at the Anu Man, at Anu Life Global Ministries. We usually share a snippet from the newsletter as well as the link in the stories, especially on first day. That's when you can usually find it, and it's a lot of good food there as well, a lot to build on and explore deeper. Am I missing something? I don't think I am. Definitely pick up a copy of the On the Way, 14 Keys, and most of the works scribed by Chief Yuya. You'll find them on Amazon, and you can type in Chief Yuya on Spotify. That's where you can find the podcast and a lot of the music that he's put out as well. But I'm gonna go to the chat. Ima Yakira Eden says, I too am learning exactly how to do nothing. It was foreign to me. Yeah, tell me about it. I'd often equate doing as value and purpose. So these days, my job is to offer So these days, my job is often to do just nothing, not even read a book, just sit. Yeah, and you would think it's boring, but you would be surprised where your mind takes you, especially like if you sit in the dark, which is like people open the door and see you sitting in the dark doing nothing. It's like, you all right? You okay? Yeah, I remember Tifa, I touched on that before. Like, he would be like, yeah, I'm working. Shut the door. But yeah, man, definitely give thanks for everybody who came through. As always, like, share, and subscribe. We will catch you in the forward on first date with Anu Radio at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And oh yeah, Shabbat Shalom. You know, darkness, darkness, everyone. It would be better if you close the door and shut up. Right, it'd be like the king from Maleficent. He's sitting there, talking to the wings that he cut off of Maleficent, and the guard opens the door like, "My lord, the queen is upstairs dying." And he's like, "Shh, can't you see I'm having a conversation?" It's like, okay, guess we ain't got no queen. But yeah, give thanks everyone, and definitely look forward to building with everyone, all the Ami people tomorrow, Ami folk. But I'm also looking forward to doing nothing, because that's what time it is. Peace and much rest and silence and inner peace to you.